All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Macro Perspective. Here with us today, we have, Nick, how do I go about introducing you? Because as you were introduced to me was through, our boss, Rudy, and he is epic when it comes to a lot of things in social speaking engagements. So instead of me introducing you, I'll let you introduce yourself because I feel like it's awkward for me to do it at times. So I'm trying to avoid the awkwardness.
No worries. My name's Nick. I'm a former professional hockey player, did some bodybuilding, and then just transferred over into the world of cycling and have become a little bit of an influencer.
There we have it. So pro hockey player turns semi-pro influencer.
That's it.
There we go. Immediately what comes to mind to me is what are you, semi-pro? Have you seen that? Man, this probably goes back
2006, bro.
Was that 2006?
That's like the 2006 to 2010 era of Will Ferrell movies, man.
It's one of the greatest movies ever, though.
Yeah, dude.
Well, the movie itself, but there's also another like meme of like, what are you, semi-pro? Like that these baseball guys would do back in the day. And I wish I could find the video and just like slap it right there. But my editing prowess ends with whatever Riverside allows us to do. So so today's topic, Nick, I mean, I'm genuinely interested about like the arc of like going from professional athlete. I know you kind of mentioned that bodybuilding phase and what that was when I got to do your VO2 over in our clinic. But I feel like that story of that bridge and then into where you're at now is like super interesting, super fascinating. And then obviously talking about kind of what you do on the social media stuff on your Instagram page and how that's taken off over the last however many months, years that you've been doing that. So maybe we start kind of with like, like you said, you didn't play professional hockey here in the States or in Canada, right? It was overseas, right?
Yeah, I was actually over in Germany, and I grew up playing hockey my whole life. Started when I was like 10, actually when I moved out here to Las Vegas. And then when I was 15 is when I started branching out and going to play other places to kind of develop my path to go on and play college hockey. So played college hockey, and then after that went over to Germany and played over there for a couple of years.
Well, what's the competitive level like there versus like NHL? Like, my worldview of hockey is very limited. Vegas Golden Knights is probably the extent of it.
That's all I know too. I went to 2 hockey games here in LA. I don't even know what the team's name is out here, but I remember the first like 3 minutes of it, a fight broke out, and I was like, "Yo, this is cool."
That's it. People love the fights, but hockey over there is very competitive. It's there's a bunch of different leagues. It's nice over there. You don't play as many games, smaller seasons, bigger ice, easier on your body, and you can have a career over there for a really long time and make a decent amount of money over there as well.
Interesting. Bigger ice. So like it's not what's the dimensions of the field or the rink there?
Yeah. So the sheet, I don't know exact dimensions. I probably should. I mean, like I said, I've been playing my whole life, but it's called Olympic ice. So it's just wider. Same length, just wider. So there's more room to kind of go side to side and more of a finesse type play.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, because I think when I watched hockey in the Olympics, however long ago the last one was, I noticed that they were using a lot of like passing off of like the boards a bit more than I've noticed. And again, maybe it was just the style of play with that particular team, but I was like, interesting. Like, why is that? I haven't noticed that when I watched a few NHL games that they're like dishing it off that. And it kind of reminds me of my son playing indoor soccer and they're trying to use that stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends on the team and their style of play, but it just kind of depends on the flow of the game as well. You might need to bank it around somebody into a soft area and let somebody skate into it, but kind of all depends on the game and the opponent you're playing as well.
Yeah. And you've now moved into the next level, right, of coaching youth sports.
I have. I am now officially full circle, giving back, coaching some little guys. And it's funny because I coach 8-year-olds. We have some 7-year-olds, some 8-year-olds, but I treat these kids like they're 18. Like, we're not messing around. When we show up to practice, we are there to work, and they'll probably be like, "Oh, Coach Nick, that guy's so serious all the time." But like, we have fun when we need to, but I don't know. I was always the type of player that I wasn't naturally gifted. I had to outwork everybody, and that's kind of what I want to teach these kids as well. Is that, hey, you show up to work every single day, you're going to get better. You put in the hours, you put in the reps, and it's going to translate into life as well, not just playing hockey.
I like that.
Yeah.
I was kind of the same way, being an athlete, Nick. Like I was not endowed with any superpowers. I was not endowed with, any strengths and stuff like that. I just had to drill more.
That's it.
And just had to practice more, and it worked out. I got to wrestle in college, which is great, and all those things. But it's such a difficult sport, and I wanted to ask you, for the audience listening, I think when you outwork someone, when you don't have those superpowers endowed to you, how did that look like? Was that like extra practice sessions? You have to get like a extra teacher for you to work, or like do you have to go, extra rounds with like your parents or something like that, or a sibling to like get extra things? I say this because I had to use my brother as like a wrestling dummy at night. I was like, after practice, I'd be like, hey, I need you just to stand there for an hour. And I just drill on him. Just drill on him.
Only child, so I didn't have that luxury. But I don't know, I was just always the first guy at the rink, the last guy to leave, and any extra ice or any opportunities that we had, I'd always take advantage of them. And then I also lived in Maryland for a bit, and there was a goalie coach out there who had a mini rink. And me and one of my best friends during the summers, we would go out there and just shoot all day long on the goalies, and then stay out after the rink shut down, and we'd close up, but we'd be out there all day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The passion of the sport.
That's it.
So then with these 7-8-year-olds, which now that I know that it's that age is like the bread and butter, I'm going to get my son over to you for a little bit. See if you can't help him.
Is that in a year?
6 months, dude. Not even.
Oh.
He'll be 7 in 3 months. So
Wow.
Let's go.
Yeah. Let's
All
go.
Right, Nick's got a new savant coming in.
Well, I mean, it's like weird because I don't even know where to start with him. Probably should just see if he can ice skate first and foremost, right? But then I look at like, the posts that Rudy will do, Nick, and I'm like, to see the progression, how quickly his son took to the game, and then also like kind of being passionate about like rollerblading, during like the summer months at night at like the outdoor rink and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know if my son has that in him yet, but maybe it is more of like a maturity thing or a coming of age thing. But I also, again, I don't know where to start. Like I know how to start for soccer, like, because I played soccer, and then baseball, kind of know where to start there. Maybe a little bit of football, but like, hockey. I mean, maybe that's a good question. Like, how do you get a young kid started with ice hockey, especially if we live in like a desert-based city like Las Vegas?
Our city's blowing up now that Knights came, so it's definitely gotten a lot bigger. When I first moved out here, there was like 2 or 3 rinks. Now there's more rinks, there's more ice, but the Knights do programs called like Learn to Skate and like Little Knights. So like you show up, you learn how to skate first, then you progress to Little Knights. You learn how to like use the puck, stick handle, shoot, kind of that works, and then you kind of keep progressing from there. But what's really crazy is I have some 7 and 8-year-olds that are on the ice with me at 5:30 in the morning for coach's ice, private ice lessons out there at 5:30 in the morning, and we're ready to go.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's wild. 5:30.
Why? Yeah.
You tell that to most adults to get them there, they're probably like, not an effing chance.
Oh, no chance at all. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's tough for me to get up. I got to leave the house at like 4:10 or wake up at 4:10 and buzz out of here because it's a little bit of a drive. But yeah, some of these kids are they want it and they're ready to get after it, which is fun for me because when they're like that, then it's easy to coach them and I can teach them things that I wish I knew at a younger age to help me progress.
Yeah. Well, what does that entail? Like, what are things that you would want to pass on?
It's like just little things like skating with the puck instead of like over stick handling. Like if you push the puck into an area and it allows you to focus on just going faster and skating into it versus like trying to skate with the puck and stick handle, it'll slow you down. Just like little things. Or like getting off shots quicker. Like when you catch a puck, instead of like making extra stick handle, you're shooting right away, trying to beat the goalie, and just little things that I learned later on that if I knew at their age, it'd be game over and you'd score 100 goals.
It's like little tells and little ticks, right? Like trying to break certain habits and just going into more advanced or more better things, right?
100%. And like when I first started coaching, like this is my first year of coaching the little guys. I've been doing the private ice for a while, and that's a little bit different, like working on skills, but like having the team and stuff, like I wasn't sure what they could handle being 7 and 8. Like, I mean, like, are they going to be able to handle the most complicated drills? But like, they're sponges, man. They pick up on the littlest things right away. And like, I'm able to do some really advanced things with them and they just soak it in. And if they can't, like, we dial it back a little bit, but I'm always willing to take that risk of see what they're able to do versus, let's just start here and we'll go with this. Like I said, I mean, we're dialed in and we're breeding winners out here. I want everybody to show up and work, and we have like a listening position. So like when I'm explaining drills, we'll get dialed into that. We're focused. We're not messing around with pucks. So we take it serious.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Is this considered a club program of what you're coaching at this point?
It's called like there's like house league, which I would say is more club, and then there's like travel. So we're a travel team. This weekend we're actually leaving to Tulsa to go play a tournament out there.
Got it. So you wouldn't consider club because normally like club in soccer would be the team that travels and that whatever, like the league, like just the rec leagues would just be like more like rec, right? So I guess like the nomenclatures.
Like house league, and then like club is our travel. We just call it travel.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
I got a question for you, Nick. Is this true? I read this in one of Malcolm Gladwell's books, Outliers.
Yeah.
They talked about hockey players. Is there like a thing about if they hit like a certain age bracket where it's like, I guess if like they're the same age, but like at a certain month, they actually get like an extra year of travel. 100%. And that's why certain outliers are better because they get that extra year.
I was on the back end of that. My birthday is December 24th. So 8 days or whatever, I would have been January, right? So I was always the tail end. Everyone always had an entire year on me. And that just keeps tallying over time with ice time. And like you might not be able to get into a program until you turn 7. So I don't turn 7 until the end of the year versus that guy that turned 7 in the beginning of the year. He's got that entire
January
year
1st.
to keep playing higher up, more ice time. So it definitely compounds over time.
So that theory is, I mean, I'm kind of witnessing it, Seamus, a bit with Zeke, because there's one boy in particular on his club soccer team that he's a January birthday, and like he's bar none the fastest kid on the field in every game that we've been at thus far. You know what I mean? So much so that they're like, we need to see the birth certificate at like every fucking game.
Yo, it's like that movie. Did you ever watch that movie? It's like, dude, this is like way back, but I think it's like a baseball movie.
Oh, it's the Benchwarmers.
Benchwarmers.
Benchwarmers is like
this thing says I'm 12, and it's got like a $20 bill on it, but the dude's like 30.
Yeah. 30, yes. Jacked to the gills.
Yes,
that's it right there, dude. That's the lesson, Marcos.
Well, it's funny because the one tournament we played, the kids that Zeke used to play with, the mom of one of the kids is the one that's like needing to see the birth certificate, and I'm just like, oh my god, like you really think like we're playing a little 4v4 fun tournament? It's like it's nothing serious. Like, we don't win anything. What do we stand to gain as parents if we're throwing our kids out there? Like, we're not doing, it's not like we're winning prize money. So I just found it like pretty, like, I'm like, as a parent, I'm like, man, do people really go through those lengths to really get like an upper hand in kids recreational sports leagues? But I guess maybe, I mean, I don't know, like, you're going to Tulsa, I'm sure there might be some kids that look a little bit bigger right on the ice, but like if you guys beat them regardless if they're cheating or not, like what do you win at the end of it, Nick? Right? You just pride and glory.
That's it. I mean, you get a few medals here and there, but the parents are crazy. Like I think hockey parents are a different breed. Like, you're there in the rink, it's freezing, you got to wake up early for morning practices. Like, it's a different kind of energy, and these parents get wild. It's crazy. They're calling kids like assholes. It's like, that kid's 7. You're like 40 yelling at this kid calling him an asshole.
Acting like they put money on this shit.
Yeah, like Vegas isn't putting odds out on our team to play today. Like, take it easy.
DraftKings, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh man.
Man, that's wild. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like that, the parents. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I coached wrestling for like 3 or 4 years too, and man, wrestling parents are weird too. Where it's like it sucks if they're wrestling parents because now they'll wrestle each other, and I'm like, oh god, this is like assault. But like, we'll allow it because it's a tournament.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see some of the parents get physical up in the stand and see what it's all about.
Probably slipping on the ice.
Yeah, I welcome it. Get it going. Like, don't talk. I'd like to see some fights break out up there.
Yeah, it'd be wild.
All it reminds me of is the South Park episode where Randy's just fighting the dudes, and it's like his like World Series of like the kids rec sports, and he's just like, "What? I thought this was America." He's just like fighting everybody. Just
Welcome it.
That's the best, bro.
But you actually said something there. If I get my son into hockey, it's early mornings. It's going to cut into my gym time, so I might have to say, no hockey, son, because
unless they got a gym there.
They do actually have a gym at CNA, but hockey's expensive, man. The skates, you got to pay for the skates. Those add up. Once you get older, those turn into like $900 for a pair of skates.
Isn't that like every year?
Oh yeah. Well, it's depending upon like how fast your kid's growing, but it's expensive sport. You got to pay for that. Ice time paying for that is expensive. Like sticks are crazy nowadays. Like it's
travel.
Expensive travel. Yeah, it's.
Well, what's like a season's worth of fees look like? 2, 3, 4, 5 grand.
Yeah, plus travel expenses, and you got food on the road, hotel, all of that. But as you get older, it becomes way more expensive. I mean, you could drop 20 grand on your kid's season for one travel season.
Dang.
As in like 12-week travel season, or like an entire year travel season?
An entire year, but like let's say the season's like 6-7 months. I mean, that's dropping 20 grand on that. That's not cheap.
I mean, that's daycare expenses right now. But I mean,
yeah, pretty much, right?
No, basically what you're saying is I'm inevitably never going to make that money back if I want to get my kid into hockey.
Maybe not. Hockey's tough too. There's not a lot of as many college teams, so there's less opportunities.
True.
Dang, that's crazy. Explain that then, Nick. Like, because I kind of was like in a similar path. 2013, I was going into college. They cut wrestling out of Olympics at that year, and then in college in California, the teams that I had gone on to like walk on or play for, like all the scholarships just got scooped out. So California just got screwed. Like for me as a sport, like that sport just wasn't going anywhere. It just declined. It's just declining the whole time. But like if you're talking about a sport that barely has any opportunities, what are the opportunities for someone to go from 7 years old all the way to being an adult? Like what's next for them? I feel like it would be like a big sense of loss identity just because they're like, I can't even do this in college if my college doesn't accept me, I
mean, you can. It's just a select few. So like in college, we'll work our way up. So you have travel hockey, right? I've got like AAA, which is the best version of travel. You can play that all the way up until you're 18. After that, there's a thing called junior hockey where you can play from 15 to 21. So after junior hockey, then you go to college. A lot of colleges want their players that play junior hockey to develop mentally, physically. I mean, I'm going in as a 21-year-old freshman versus a true freshman at 18. I mean, that's
a third year red shirt, bro.
Yeah. I mean, you're a full-blown grown man going in there, which is an 18-year-old. So you get all of that time to develop in junior hockey. There's a bunch of different leagues here in the U.S. There's a bunch of really good leagues in Canada, the OHL, WHL, those kind of things. And you're considered like a pro at that point. You're playing in front of thousands of fans. You're traveling. Like everything's paid for. Your meals, like you're a pro. You're just not getting paid to play at that level. And then you go on and play college, or if you do a certain route, you might just go right to the pros.
Interesting.
Very. So you have Division I. There's no D2 in college hockey. And then you have D3, which is essentially D2. Yeah. And then you have like Division I club where anybody can really play club. Yeah.
So you basically do a semi-pro stint in hockey from 18 to 21 before you even try to go play hockey in college, effectively.
Correct.
Okay.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's wild. So you're
That's
in it. You're like I'm like good enough to obviously
committed, bro.
be fielded on one of these teams. So how many, like, is it like a couple thousand people in total? Like how many actual like active hockey athletes would there be across leagues like in North America?
There's a lot. There's a lot of different leagues, and there's like so you have the USHL, which is the best league. That's like their tier 1. You have the NAHL, which is the North American Hockey League, tier 2, and then there's like tier 3, and then it like kind of tiers down. There's more. So there's a lot. But those top 2 programs, I mean, you're in it. You're a pro. You're traveling on a team bus in sleeper bunks with TVs that fold down. Like you're treated like a pro.
You made it.
Yeah, you made
it. Well, break it down for us, like in terms of pro. Like I've heard, like kind of what you were just saying, like playing as a pro outside of the U.S. I mean, I've even heard this for like baseball and basketball, where like they make a living, but it's like even better. Some people are like, I'd rather stay out of the NBA or stay out of this because it's like I feel I just made like a good living. I'm like playing in China, I'm playing in a different place. What is it about going pro in another country that's just better than going straight to like trying to play for a big team out here?
Let's say you're not good enough to make it to the NHL or even like the American Hockey League. Then you have the East Coast Hockey League. Marcos, I don't know if you remember the Wranglers that were out here.
Yeah, I do actually.
So that was the East Coast Hockey League, and then there's another one below that, the SPHL. Once you're in those two, it's a grind. I mean, you're battling it out. You're not making any money, and it's tough. So you go over there. One, you're living in a different country, which is awesome. They pay for your rent wherever you're living. Get a team car. You get paid, and then a lot of the times it's tax-free money as well. So whatever you're making, it's going right in your pocket. It's cheap to live over there. Like food in Germany was insanely cheap. So everything that I made, I mean, I was pretty much pocketing at the end of the year. It didn't cost much to live over there. And I mean, you're living in a different country. You're experiencing new things. To me, that was all like, I knew I always wanted to go over there and play at a young age. My dad kind of set me on that path and like, hey, you should do this. This is awesome. And so that's always was my mindset, is that I wanted to go over there and play. Yeah. I knew I'm a smaller guy, so I wasn't going to go to the NHL or the American Hockey League and stuff. But
yeah,
it's just really cool to go over there and experience different cultures and live somewhere else, essentially.
No, it's really cool to kind of hear that, because, like, I mean, like 10 years ago, I had a buddy who was playing for the minors for the Mets, and he was just in their minor league, and he was in it for like 7 years. Never really got called up or anything for 7 years, and it's like, he was coming out of college, so he's 22, 23 at this time, 30 years old, and he's, dude, like 7 years, I have nothing to show for it. Like, they never called me up, playing ball, playing my sport, and it's like, there's just no money, like, and it's just I feel like it's such a hard dream to chase in certain sports and certain things. So it's like, it's nice that there are other options out there where you can make a living doing what you're doing, but it may not necessarily be in the league, like the made it popular by demand kind of thing, but it's like you're making a living.
What's now too is we can kind of touch into social, but like when I was growing up, we were getting recruited by colleges. We weren't allowed to have social media. Like, God forbid if beer was on your thing, a school would look at you like, oh, this guy parties too much. Like, we don't want that. So I never had any social media growing up. I didn't get social media until I was in college. I got Instagram, like a personal one. I didn't know how to use it. Like, everybody already had it. Nowadays, with like the NIL, like, you can showcase your journey of whatever that may be, a college student, a professional athlete, and make serious money on social media showcasing that while also playing the sport or doing whatever it is that you love at the same time. So like now that I wish I would have had that growing up. Like it would have been
it's crazy. The there was those deals now. I don't know if they're still doing them, Marcos, with the NSCA, but like, or just the NCAA, where it's like people are finally getting those sales for like apparel, and like a girl or a guy with at least like 1 million followers on Instagram, like they're good. They're they're settled for. And I wish I did have something like that before. I mean, Instagram was in my time, but I kind of was not using it right. But one of my kids that I was coaching, I coached him for 3 years in middle school, but now in high school, he used social media. It's just all his wrestling matches. And that's how he got recruited. And I was like, oh, cool. So now he's wrestling in college. I was like, oh, great, good job. Like, it's such a smart way. Like, if you're smart with your social media, I think you could really set yourself up
Yeah.
for success. Yeah.
Definitely. And it's like, it's your brand. It's showing who you are. If you, like you said, if you use it right, it's nothing but beneficial. Like, obviously it can be bad and you can use it the wrong way. And like some of the NBA players that post things that shouldn't be posted, like it can definitely hurt you. But if you're using it the right way, it's crazy nowadays.
Yeah,
Well,
that that genuine authenticity, right, is like, when does it bite you? When do you go too far? You know what I mean? But it's crazy because I think one of the things that this is like football. I forget if it may have been Tom Brady like mentioning. He's like, kids these days are going from, or at least and maybe not as of right now, not after NIL happened, but all these kids weren't developing. Like, they haven't truly developed their quarterback play, right? So we have all these rookies that have come into the NFL, and we're like, after one season, they're washed. They're like, nah, they weren't up to the hype, right? But now what NIL kind of allows, and kind of maybe even the system that you've kind of talked about, is like, you're playing at this quote unquote professional level. NIL probably allows for more people to actually make a honest living, you know, realistically, depending on how good they are, how much clout they have. But then they'll stay at their prospective school for longer, which in turn, one, helps generate more revenue for that organization, helps them draw better talent. And it's probably why, even in this like second year or first year, really, with NIL, I mean, look at the parity in the NCAA football this year. It is insane. Like, there's actually like, there's not like a super conference anymore as a result of it, because kids are like, I'm not getting playtime. I'm good enough to probably play. I can, you know, even if I make $100,000 just to go to whatever CSU, you know, I'll go take it because I want some playtime. And I think that that's kind of maybe good and bad for the sport. UNLV obviously dealt with our quarterback for this year, right? He's like, I didn't get paid. He's like, well, we never said that you were getting paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
So
transfer portal is wild too. I mean,
yeah,
like
dude, yeah.
that's crazy. I mean, the fact that you would even like consider transferring like back then before all of that stuff came into play. Like, man, you're like a traitor. How are you going to disrespect your team to go somewhere else? Like crazy. But now
And like
it's like,
senior year transfers too. You've had a
yeah,
commitment for 3 to 4 years, and if you redshirt, then you're like, you know what? I'm gonna end my career at this other school. Like what? Like
crazy.
well,
it's
I
crazy.
look at DJ Uiagalelei, who's like been like transfer portal god, and then goes to FSU and literally like fuck shit up for that organization this year. So like, it can be good and bad, right? Like
For sure.
this whole the eligibility stuff, the whole thing as a whole. I actually had to then look up the numbers of like, because I feel like, you know, you like the NHL, like to get up there, like you're super elite, like you just said, like you have a certain, like, what's the prototypical build of an NHL player? 5'11" to 6'1", 6'2", somewhere in that like height. What's that
Yeah,
with like 200 pounds?
I'd say it's changing a little bit. Like guys aren't as big as they used to be. Now they're kind of like wiry guys. Like it's just more about skill. It's not as there's not as much hitting anymore as there used to be. So guys don't need to be as beefed up as they used to be. So now it's changing. It's kind of crazy, like the builds that you're seeing on some of these guys that are playing now.
So why has the game changed to be more like finesse driven and not power driven?
It's gotten the skill has gone through the roof. Like what guys can do now, and like even these kids that I coach can do now. Like when I was their age, I'm trying to lift the puck. These guys are like going through their legs and like spinning around and doing crazy stuff. So the game is just elevated. It's gotten so fast that you almost can't be too big and only focused on power because the game's just going to go right past you.
It
Yeah.
The
makes
skill has
sense.
just gone through the roof. It's crazy.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, you
Skills,
got these
man.
dangerous freaking sharpened blades at your feet that you, you know, cutting on a frictionless surface and trying to figure out how to stop on a dime. Like, yeah, it seems like there's probably a hell of a lot of skill. Just the, I mean, how
That's a
many
skill
average?
in itself, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, like, I think I've ice skated probably like literally 10 times in my life. You know what I mean? Um, like, so I look at that and I was like, get on it. I was like, oh, you know, like, I think the last time we did it, like, it may have been with my ex-girlfriend and not my wife. I'm sorry, babe.
Don't let her hear you.
But she was actually like, whoever it was impressed, was like, I didn't even know that you could do that. I was like, I mean, it's like, I'm semi-athletic, so I think I can figure this out, but I'm definitely not good by any stretch of the imagination. So I look at that, I'm like, that that level of skill, like you just said, the skill and the speed at which the skill is being done for that particular sport, it's wild to see. I mean, I'm the casual observer. I wouldn't even consider myself like actively following like our team, you know what I mean? Mainly because damn, there's like too many games, you know what I mean? But I get it. And so that's where I was like, okay, let me look at the numbers here, because I know that like the salaries maybe aren't as commiserate as like somebody on like an NFL team, you know, like for big name people, right? But they do make pretty substantial amount of money, right? As like
Yeah, I
NHL
mean,
guys.
they're making some guys are making a ton of money, but it's nowhere near any of the other sports. Like a huge contract is probably like 10 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, what's
But how many players are on a team though? Typically, like
you have guys that usually there's three lines of forwards of three, and then there's probably three lines of D nine. So there's like I'd say 22, maybe
okay,
23 guys on a team, and then there's like a few guys that'll just be scratched or like backups.
yeah, I'd have to go look at the average like roster like amount that people make, like, you know, median, average, all that stuff for like an NFL salary, because there's far more people, but
Yeah,
there's also far more injury. I know there's a lot of injuries probably in hockey, but I don't feel like they're as banged up and injured per se as like football, even though there's a lot of collisions. Like, would you say it's comparable, less than, more than?
there's a lot of injuries. Just hockey players are built a little different. Like they'll play through whatever it is. Like guys in the playoffs will play through like if you got a fractured ankle, playing. Take a puck to the face, you got 50 stitches, playing. Like it takes a
Built
lot to keep
different.
somebody out of a game. So hockey players
Yeah.
are tough in that sense of that, like I mean, I don't know if it's smart, tough, but maybe not the smartest, but they're playing through whatever it is.
Yeah, how many teeth have you lost?
I've lost two. Not too bad.
like that alone, you know what I mean? It's just like I feel like
That alone says a lot about the culture in hockey already, dude.
But yeah, it's just
yeah.
there's some crazy injuries that guys play through. Versus, you get the NBA where some guys will get like a hangnail and then they're out for a few games and rest.
But
You'll never see a guy rest just to rest in hockey.
well, that's why we love the hockey guys. Yeah, the NBA, I mean, each again, like who was Kobe or whoever's like, yeah, all these people, I don't know if that person paid. I mean, tickets to go to a game are stupid expensive, no matter what league it is. So like if athletes do view it as like it is like my duty to make sure I'm out there every night. I get like every now and again, like again, just gotta like I'm literally like I'm sick. You know what I mean? Like something's like literally putting you down versus just resting because it's like a double day or a back-to-back game day or whatever. It would suck, you know. It would suck to go to that game because you think that you're going to go see this potential player and then they're not in there. So I feel like maybe the hockey guys also think of that too, potentially. I mean, maybe if they get further along in their career, or also like they just want to be the best, you know. So
I think they take pride in like the Iron Man streaks and stuff of like how many consecutive games have you played? Like there's something cool for them behind that of like I've only missed 10 games my whole career. Like they're proud of
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I would
That's wild.
definitely agree with that. But yeah, you said kind of bridging that over to like that social media connection, right? Like obviously you didn't have it growing up and into like your collegiate career to a degree, but now it's something that obviously you've grown quite a following with, right? And not in hockey, obviously.
Yeah,
So,
kind of
so
crazy.
Well, first off, explain that. Did you build the social media or did you build the cycling first? Which came
So
first?
cycling came first. It was kind of funny. My the in-laws cycle and everything like that, and I have some friends as well that did it. And I was like, man, I'm not riding a bike. I'm not wearing the outfits. I'm not doing any of that stuff. But when I stopped playing hockey, like I needed something to be competitive at. Whatever it is, I mean, we could be playing rock, paper, scissors. I just hate to lose, and I want to be the best at whatever it is. So there's a thing called Strava, right? Where you can go on there and like there's
mhm.
segments, and you can be the king of that segment, right? You get the KOM. After that, I saw that I was instantly hooked. I was like, I'm in. I'm decently fast because the leg power output from hockey kind of translates decently for cycling. And then it just kind of kept growing from there. I was like, man, I'm hooked. Like, how can I go even faster? So then I got the shoes that clip in. Then I got the outfits. Then you're trying to get as aero as possible. And then once I kind of hit that point, I was like, man, this is an expensive world as well, just like hockey. Wonder if
you just traded one addiction to the other.
it's terrible.
Like,
it's not good for the wallet.
Yeah.
When cycling's so expensive, I was like, hey, wonder if we could, you know, start a following or whatever it may be and see if I can get some stuff for free. And
yeah,
just started posting and started taking pictures on the bike. I had a bike that somebody gave to me that was like 20 years old and didn't have any of the technology, which was kind of nice because then once I did progress and move up to a new bike, like I appreciated everything that developed over the years technology wise. Just kept posting, was consistent. I think I posted every single day for a year straight. And it took one little video that blew up and my following just started to grow. And it was kind of a stupid little video making fun of how expensive one of the bikes was. The bike was like 15 grand. And I mean, for something that you power, that's a lot. And
so you could get a car for it. Yeah, that's
I mean,
funny.
You're driving this thing with your legs, and it's 15 grand. So it's just a little video like zooming in on the price tag, and it was like, wah, 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 right? It got like 400,000 views. It took me 10 seconds to make, and it just kept growing and growing, and my followers kept coming, and then I got addicted to that as well, right? I wanted to be the best at that, so I just kept posting and trying to come up with new creative things, and then I didn't know anything of this world. I didn't know content creation. I didn't know how to edit, film any videos, and just kind of learned as I went, and I got pretty good at making little transitions. So then I would like transition and do those things with like the outfits, and then it just kept going and going. And then people would send me stuff, and I would use that stuff to fuel the next video and just kind of keep going. So that's kind of how I got into it.
That's pretty awesome, man. Strava, I'm gonna have to follow you. I don't bike.
All right.
I run now. And I'm telling Marcos, I'm like, yeah, let's look at these paces. Let's make it happen because we're prepping for something called the Hyrox.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but tell us about So part of like the social media growth is obviously some virality. You never know what hits. Like 15 grand bike like hit, but what are some of the cool relationships you've made with probably like people or companies in this new world that is just coming to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's some big ones like Melon Hats. Work with them. Got one on right now. I like those guys. There's like a watch brand company called Nomad. So it's cool when you land some bigger deals. That's like, man, that's kind of neat. They're big. They're interested in what I'm doing. But there was a bodybuilder guy that I used to follow. His name was Max Tuning, and he started this company called Sour Strips.
Yeah.
And he sold out to Hershey for undisclosed amount of money.
That was like just a few weeks ago.
A few weeks ago. But so I've watched this guy grow that whole company from the ground up. He started with this this little Project X, and it blew up and making a ton of money with this. They ended up reaching out to me, and they would send me care packages of their candy. Like I watched this whole business grow. So that one for me was like pretty special. That was really cool that like, man, I saw this guy start this, followed his journey, and now he's sending me his stuff. So they send me a bunch of candy, and like obviously it doesn't even really translate into cycling other than like people like to eat a lot of carbs when you're cycling. But for me, that one was like pretty special and cool that connection to the brand.
It kind of just validated a lot of the time you put into watching that content. I mean, the guy has great content, great podcast, great people. It's kind of validates you when you're seen by the people that you're like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
For sure.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah. I mean, it just dawned on me that Strava is literally social media for fucking fitness influence. Like, sorry, I was like, kind of like, what if there was just a social media that was specifically for like, I guess, CrossFit or whatever particular thing? But like, obviously,
that used to be the CrossFit forum, bro. That was remember the CrossFit forum, the Daily Wad.
Kinda, but like you guys are looking at like paces and distance and where the run is, and I've never used Strava, so I have like fucking no clue as to what the app actually looks like.
I'll tell you right now, I think it just quantifies everything you need to know. Desiree, my fiance, was using it a lot like last year before me, and then I got into like the half marathons and all the Hyrox stuff, and I was like, I still laugh to this day, Nick. I did like a 12-mile run, and I was talking the whole time, and I have the data, and I'm wearing a heart rate monitor too, like a chest strap, and it says zone 4. I'm like, this is not right. Like, how can I speak for 2 hours running and it says zone 4? I should be dying over here. It said 193 max for my heart rate. I'm like, okay, there's something either wrong with me or is there something wrong with the technology?
For sure. And that's what's tough too on some of these like King of the Hill segments is like there's pace, like you can be in your car. So like sometimes people forget to like turn it off when they get done with the ride. So they're driving home. They're hitting like 80. Like there's no shot you're riding your bicycle 80 miles an hour or you're running 80 miles an hour. Like you're doing a minute mile per pace. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not happening. So that frustrates me in that sense of the competitiveness. Like no, not going to break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's like the equivalent of what was it, Pokemon Go back in the day, where people would be in their car hatching their eggs, like driving slow enough so they didn't have to actually get the steps in to hatch it.
That is
like,
so funny.
But like the brand, like you said, like kind of the brand deals and the ability to like kind of connect and, you know, quote, I guess, what does it look like? I mean, that's my question. Like, so these brands have reached out, right, and sponsored, or they're giving you some sort of product in exchange for you to then obviously endorse it. Have you said no to any of them, or have you kind of said yes to everything?
I've said no to quite a few things. Kind of just depends on what it is. Like if it's not super known or reputable or like whatever it may be, there's some brands that like you just don't know or like it looks fishy or whatever. So I say no to a bunch of things. If it's something that I truly just don't like, I'll say no to it. But I have said yes to a lot of stuff. And then it just kind of depends whether they're either paying me to promote it or they're sending it to me and I can kind of say whatever I want about it. And it's just exposure for them. So there's kind of a different few things. Or like if I really like a brand and I'm loving their product, I'll be like, hey, like you've seen me post about your stuff. Like this is how some of the engagement's gone. Like, is there any way we can collaborate together and take a journey together? So there's a lot of different options and ways to go about the partnerships and brand deals and stuff. But you just got to keep posting because if I could give one tip, it's just consistency. You just have to post. I don't care if it's good, bad. I mean, whatever it is, just keep posting if that's really what you want to do.
What's that schedule look like for someone that's obviously landing some deals and brand deals? Is it like once a day? Is it a certain number per week? Is it at a certain time? Like what, you know, I mean, people want to know.
Timing does come into play. I'll be honest, my schedule right now hasn't been great. Like I said, before I was doing it every single day, whether it was like back then, it was just mainly like posts, right? Like just pictures. You had like maybe a couple carousels that you could do. And then reels got big and then it was only reels, but now like pictures are coming back. It's constantly changing, which is really tough. But I haven't been good with the schedule, but I do like to try to get out either like 1 or 2 posts a week. But
Okay.
more
So that's yeah, that's doable too, though. Yeah. I mean, 1 to 2 a week is what you're considering, quote, consistent, right? Like,
well, once you kind of get there, you can ease back a little bit. But if you're growing, I mean, the more you can get out, the better.
Yeah, because you don't know which one's going to hit, right? Like it's a numbers game, right?
I'll spend 5 hours editing a video that I think is absolutely sick and it's going to crush, and it'll tank. And I made one video recently that ended up hitting like over 1 million. I was like making fun of unclipping out of the bike and like what it feels like when you don't unclip and it's like screaming like you're gonna fall over and tip down. It took me 5 minutes to make that, and it blew up. I mean, it got sent to so many people, like the watch times through the roof, 1 million+ views, and honestly, I was just burned out and like just slapped something together and it took off.
That's so funny that you say that, Nick, because like we've been posting once a week. For like the last year, pretty much like once a week. And we don't know what's gonna hit. Like there are times where I'm like, Marcos, I made this connect, and it's someone really reputable. Tons of folks follow this person. We get them on the podcast. Crickets, man, crickets, and you're thinking like, you know,
we made it.
I think sometimes you play it up in your head, like, or I play it up in my head, and then like Marcus and I just have a normal conversation, just him and I talking about, I don't know, like a DEXA scan or something like that. That video is like, yo, what? Like, everyone's asking questions. It's like, we never really know what hits nowadays. We don't really know what the market is asking for, like what is funny, or I don't know what lands sometimes, you know? It's weird.
It's tricky. I don't think really anybody knows like what exactly, how something is going to perform. It's just trying to find similarities of the two of like, okay, hey, like I was doing this, like I was either being funny or I was being serious, or we were talking about something specific that people were engaged to. And it's just, you never really know. It's just, that's why you just got to keep pushing content out.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest thing, like you said, is I think it's kind of with everything though. Like consistency is really like I think the hardest thing for a lot of people to find in today's day and age. Cause I mean, I feel like, granted, we've been quote consistent having at least one video per week. When we had 2 or 3, when we like kind of got really in year 1, it was not only was it better for like obviously just I mean people starting to get to know like the brand a little bit, but additionally there was like personal benefit. Like my personal business was better because it was like, okay, like this person, people are seeing me. It's easier to sell myself if they're constantly seeing me and Seamus, right? Like and then now where we're at now, it's like people are like, okay, this post is like on a Thursday, it's going to be the podcast episode, and we had to scale it back in 2024 just due to like work demands, kind of like you are mentioning for yourself. It's like these ever changing things are very normal, but you know, we've had multiple kind of re-up conversations, Seamus and myself, and we're like, hey, we just can't not be consistent. Like if we want to really continue to just nurture and grow this thing, like it might be year 5 when it actually takes off, but like at least then we have 5 years under our belt of, you know, at that point.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Marcos. Where it's like you there's one podcast a week, but we do like 2 or 3 clips from it. Like one's a trailer, one's the actual video, and then one's like the hey, did you miss it? I think that's what we got to do is just get 3 clips, you know,
well, then
so
you got
people
to
are
do
constantly
then you got
seeing
to do
us.
the editing stuff. And Nick just said that sometimes that's like you feel like you got to spend 5.
Yeah, dude, I totally hear you. Yeah, but no, man, that's awesome. That's so awesome, Nick. I mean, that's so cool. I mean, what's your question? Just back to a Strava question, real quick. How many miles have you done this year? Do you know?
I haven't put out the yearly thing, or I haven't seen it yet on my end. But in the beginning of the year, I was ripping. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, but it just kind of depends. Like if I'm coaching in the mornings during the summer, it's really hard to get out and ride because then it's like 110. If I'm on the ice at 5:30, like you got to get out on the bike at like 5:15 to beat the heat. So if I'm coaching, the cycling definitely takes a hit. So that makes it.
What's your cycling like look like now? Is it like was it like every day, like depending on like the season, or is it just like a few times per week right now?
Just a couple times a week right now. I've also started running for some reason. I don't know what got me into it, but I've been doing a
So
little.
you're doing a Hyrox in February with all of us.
Yeah, I guess I must.
You know what, Nick? Nick, you should do it. You're 12 weeks out, man. Wait, no, you're 8 weeks out.
I'm always ready to go. And I'll bring it. I mean, I might die.
Okay,
but I'm
with the VO2. With the VO2 close to 70, yeah, you ready to go.
I mean, I'll bring it. I don't know how good I'll do, but I'll bring it. So I've been running a little bit more than cycling, and then hopefully that'll change a little bit. But just depends on work schedule, weather schedule, and kind of just life.
Yeah. I saw you didn't like your running shoes on your post earlier today.
Hated them.
What'd you get?
I was planning on going and run a half marathon today. And I was just going to go for a rip, see what happens. I got some new Brooks's max cushion, right? I have no meniscus in my right knee from playing hockey. I tore it, and they're like, cut it out or let it heal on its own. I was like, cut it out. Let's get back to it. So I got new max cushion shoes, and my knee did not like them. I was 3 miles in, and my knee, something was like just hitting the wrong way, and I had to stop and literally walk home. So.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang, that's weird. You gotta try some new shoes, I guess. Yeah.
But I've been ripping around in the Nike Vaporfly 2s with a little carbon plate. Always fast in those. So
yeah, you been one of those that thing flies across the room.
Love it. I mean,
my fiance has, dude. She has like all the carbon stuff, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, yo, get me some of these.
It's crazy. It really makes a big difference. Like, I feel like shoes have even changed over the years. Like when I was growing up, like we had the Nike Frees were like the greatest running shoes ever. But
the best, bro.
The best. Great for the gym, great for running. You could do anything in those things. But now they can't compete whatsoever. So
if you ever, I think what might be, if you like the Nikes, so you got the Vapors and then you get the Alpha Flies, I think just depends on which ones are going to be more aggressive for the foot because of that narrowing.
Yeah.
I'm not in the Nike family. I'm in the Saucony family. So I do like the Nike, the Saucony Endorphin Speed, and then the Endorphin Speed Pro will be like the carbon plated. Those are pretty fire. I think, however, my fiance plays between the two. She says the Nikes are really aggressive, and I don't know if I have the ankle stability to go from another economy to another economy of shoes. And I'm like, I'm not going to break an ankle. Like, I'm already having, foot issues. And like my right foot, we did a 10K last week. My right foot went numb the last 2 miles of the 10K. And I was like, what happened? I got to be careful, man.
Yeah. How fast were you going, Seamus, on that 10K?
It was like an 8:15 pace or something like that.
Okay. I've just been running in Vans Ultra ranges, so y'all fuck my feet.
Get some shoes, bro. Like, get some shoes for real,
No.
Marco. So with the volume you're running for Hyrox, you need some shoes.
We live in the same neighborhood, and I've been trying to get this guy to run with me, but he hasn't hit me up yet.
Hey,
come on, bro.
Look, dude, I don't think I can
come on, fire it away. What do you got?
What's your pace right now, Nick?
Let's see. Let's pull up Strava real quick.
See, the fact that he
I'm
has to look up his app to see what his pace is that why I'm saying no.
You know what's funny? What's funny about Strava is the fact that Strava is literally like the social media. Like, one of my friends, we saw him for Friendsgiving, or like a friends get together for this past weekend, and the first thing he was saying is like, "Oh, I've seen you've been running. You got Strava?" I was like, "Yeah."
So my last longer run was 5.3, and I did a 7:35 pace.
Oh man,
7:35 mile or 7:35 1K?
7:35 mile.
Yeah, let's see.
Average pace. So.
Nicholas Govig on Strava.
Nick G_LV 21. Same as the Instagram.
Nick G_.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get you.
That that'd be a little fast for me. That's all.
You're just moving a lot of weight around.
Yeah. And this is not even me in my fat form. Imagine if I was like actually like beefy me. Like, and that was the funny thing is that so obviously we're doing the Hyrox, me and my buddy Adam. Speaking of, I think I mentioned him if he needed some PT help.
Yeah.
So we've been doing some, we're inching into it slowly. Like, my pace is going to be dictated off of him. So he's been doing the running, and I'm like, okay, like I'm good if he's at this pace. Like, if he's trying to get to like, we're trying to get like an hour 15 for that. I'm like, I'm cool, because I'm happy to do a little bit more on maybe the sled push or the couple things that are a little bit easier for me, and then let him take over on some of the other more like cardiovascular things. We'll figure it out as we get there. We're just doing it for fun. But then, yeah, to try to keep a 7:30, maybe. But like, yeah, I would get some. I mean, I know I need to get some real shoes, guys. Like, I started, we'll call it 3 months ago, and it's just like 1 day a week. So to have been at 0 running to now having at least 1 day a week, like a Friday, where I'm doing intervals of like, 4 to 6K, I'm happy with it, because I thought it would carry over to my VO2, like I was telling you, Nick, earlier. And it did not. It did not translate. My lung capacity is identical to where I was at 22 versus 31. So, just saying, maybe it's because I'm not doing it on a bike. Maybe I need to get on a bike, like, and do you have a hand-me-down bike that's like $100?
I mean, I do have an extra bike floating around, so if you ever want to get on one, we could.
You know what? Here, I'll keep it extra accountable, Marcos. I'll keep it extra accountable. You run with him a few times, and then that'll incentivize him to be like, all right, maybe I should give it to this guy.
No, yeah. Hey, okay. So, we'll set a date right now, Nick. What day is best for you? When are you not coaching on the ice early mornings?
I mean, I'm available, man. You let me know. We'll make it work.
There it is.
Okay. Mondays and Fridays are usually the days that I'm doing like the walk or run type of things. So
Friday. I usually coach Monday nights. We have team practice, but we could definitely do a Friday.
Okay. Friday it is. We'll do it.
Perfect.
It'll be, we'll have to circle it back, and I'll let everybody know that, if you go with somebody that is, I mean, it's going to be zone 2 for you. I'm going to probably be zone 3, 4, I'm going to be at lactate, no doubt. But it's funny you're mentioning that though, because like that pace and how I'll feel. They did a recent post that I saw right before we hopped on, talking about, again, the real difference of like a Hyrox athlete, Seamus, and like a CrossFitter, like elite level people, and like where their different zones were.
Yeah.
And again, like the fact that like a high level games level CrossFitter really wouldn't do well in a Hyrox event with like the elite people because of the specificity of the sport and how it's kind of again turned
You need a
turned into what it is.
the best. I think the best. I've done like a few breakdowns of it. I was following like this guy that these are like Hyrox coaches, like the performance scientists and like nutritionists, and they're from like Europe, and that's where it started. So like these guys have been doing this science for like 7 years, and they found the difference between the two is like, look, CrossFitters, they're probably best in that 15-minute zone, like that
Mm-hmm.
15-minute zone, and they're usually 5'7" to 5'10". The best Hyrox folks are 6'1" to like 6'2", like 5'11" to 6'2", and they have a big aerobic engine that like they can ebb and flow in the 90 minutes or hour. And it's just such a different sport, even though it does those functional movements. You have to remember, so the mathematics of Hyrox is 50% of it is running. It's 5 miles of running, 1K times 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have certain components like the sled push, right? It's only 3% of the race, but that 3% can really fuck you up. Can really mess you up. So it's like you have this big aerobic engine, right? You do the ski erg, you do another 1K, but you go right into the sled, 330 pounds for males. Sure, you got some good aerobic capacity, but if you can't recover
They
from the sled
compromise.
push like I couldn't recover, dude, you're running. It took me until the burpee broad jumps, which is like 2 to 3 rounds later, to be like, oh, my lungs are back. So it's a different. It's I think recoverability, high aerobic capacity, but recoverability on intense factor. It's a different sport. I think everyone's way to become better is that there's no specific like plan yet. I don't think so. Even though the sport's only 10 years almost, there's no specific plan for everybody. You have to figure it out yourself. It's like you have to fine tune it.
Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing then. Like, so Nick, have you done triathlons too?
No.
No. So just biking and running, like, or you just picked up running recently and primarily only biking.
Yep.
Okay. That's okay. Um, I look at these different sports and different things that are like now kind of like novel. The fact that like a sprint tri or triathlon, it's always like it's the same thing, right? It's like it's easier to train for because you kind of know the distances and things you're getting yourself into. Hyrox the same way. I'm interested in trying to figure out a way to create another event that's kind of similar to this that actually includes some other elements, some other things that are, not running, but then it's like the logistics of like equipment, right? Like they figure out the logistics of like the station stuff, like fairly simple, right? You phase it in heats, and most people probably will be here. You grab the closest one, whatever. But as soon as you try to have like, let's just say it was 1,000 people signed up for like a bike version, so instead of running, you're riding, right? Like, so then like, what would that look like in terms of like the chaos, But it would be so interesting
It'd be
in
wild
my eye.
because there's these things called crit races that are smaller
Yeah.
races,
Yes.
and they get physical. Like, I mean, you're cutting off guys' lines. Like, it's a little bit different, like running, but like it'd be nuts. So you're out of breath trying to get on the bike and then rip a little mini race right there. It'd be insane.
Oh man, yeah,
And
that
I'm
does sound
sure people
insane.
would be flipping over. They
Oh
did a crit at one of the first events at the games for CrossFit, however many years ago. And it was interesting because it's like you said, it's more of like a short course, right?
yeah,
Short course version. And I thought that was interesting because I was like, what the hell is this? And then I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, this is interesting. But to me, like, I don't love running, but like I like the fact that there is like again something to pencil in that kind of has some mixed modal stuff with it. So I think the next event personally that has a blend of a bit more, and like, of course all the safety precautions are there, would be really fun. Seamus, I don't know if I've ever told you this. Like I've wanted to do a variation of like a try as like a charity event, that obviously like starts like in a rec pool for safety reasons because I'm afraid of open water swimming personally.
see,
And
just do like a half try. Do like a half.
yeah, but like I
Do
want
like
to
a
do it into like an ergathlon. So it's like I'd love to cover actual distance on a bike, but like you go from that to a ski erg into like an echo bike, and then maybe like you actually travel distance later off of after a row. So like something that includes all the
dude. Let's
different.
let's do that, bro. The last time I swam, I think like I almost died. Like,
Well, that's the thing though. Like I did a event, they call it Frogman. So they did like a swimming version of a CrossFit event in a pool. And I was like, I know how to swim. Dude, it was like 3 events of me just staying above water and not fucking drowning for
Yeah,
this.
dude.
And but it got me into that thing. It's like I like not being good at things. It makes me want to go work at those things and develop that
Yeah.
skill set. So it's like, you know, the again, I have like a bike now. It's like, oh, okay, I want to get better at this and this and this. Like the fact that like I suck at these things. Again, it's always good to feel like a novice over and over again.
Yeah.
And the events itself are, again, maybe I don't even care about the event because it's like I know I can't win it, so to speak, unless it's like an actual like local CrossFit competition. And even then, it's like, who's my teammate for the day? How are we gonna do together? My wife and I on the last event we did, like, her hamstring got a little, or her knee got a little funky on the last event. And I fucked up the double under and the floater wad. So, it's just, sometimes it's days like that.
Oh man, yeah. I feel you, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, the swimming
But,
part for me is no good. I want everyone, like, now that I started running, like, oh, do triathlon, man. The swimming part looks terrible. Like,
yeah,
none of that looks fun in any way, shape, or form.
I saw a post, Nick, where it was like, I'm so bad. I think they said like, oh man, I suck so much at swimming, but I kill it on running and biking that like I overlap everyone here. It's like, just don't even worry about your weaknesses. Just focus on your strengths.
That's
like,
not a chance. And that chaos,
yeah,
like the beginning part of the event, the adrenaline's pumping. You're gonna like get an elbow from someone that's just like not being courteous to you. Like
nah,
it's a little. I mean, that's a little intimidating and scary. But like the this, I mean, honestly, like the swim part, Nick. Like I think it's inevitable that you'll do it at some point. And that's why I think like the shorter distance of like the sprint try would probably be really cool. I mean, I've been
yeah,
wanting to do it. I told Adam, my buddy, like, hey, we're gonna get on this, and I think like that's kind of why Hyrox became an actual thing for us. So it's like, okay, we've done an event now. It's like, when are we training for like the next thing that kind of changes up our fitness a little bit? Because I'm cool with just going into the gym and just bro sessioning it up, But he's like, I kind of need something a little bit different to keep my like head in the game. So I don't know, man.
Test
If you
yourself.
can, what was that?
I would say you always got to test yourself. Like, I've been trying to get some of my buddies to do a marathon with me. And I've realized that they're all soft and they won't commit. Like, let's just do one. Like, we'll fly to a cool place because, like, playing hockey, I got friends from all over the place. None of us live in the same spot. It's like, let's fly somewhere. We'll go somewhere cool. We'll rip a marathon. We'll hang out for the weekend. And that's it. And then nobody wants to run. So, soft.
Marcos, let's go make Nick's dream happen.
I don't
Let's
know
get a
about
running up, dude. Let's get a running up.
Yeah.
20. I mean, my
Have
feet
you
are
run
already
a marathon yet,
hurting.
Nick?
No.
I've ran one. I did it just to cross it off the list, and then my heel almost like tore, so I had to go to like the urgent care. And they're like, "Yeah, you're like there almost." But you know what's messing me up is I told Marcos, I was like, doing the Hyrox. I've done like I think I've done like 15 races this year.
Okay.
I've done like 5Ks, 10Ks, and like all those little different Ks and like a Hyrox and then a half. Did like 2 halves, and just so much running. And I told Marcos, I'm like, I'm just done running past 7 miles. Like, I like running, but like as soon as I hit 7 miles, I need to watch a TV because I just like want to zone out, And I could run like 12, 15, but I need to do it with somebody. So I agree with you on like wanting to do it.
Yeah,
But
I mean, if you don't have time in mind, Nick, I will sign up for you and just gut through it and get some shoes that hopefully make it so that my outer part of my foot doesn't hurt because I get to a certain distance. I'm like, I've never experienced this soreness and pain before. So if we're holding like a 10-minute mile, maybe,
easy pace. I'm going to be honest with you. The reason I'm thinking of running a marathon again is, first off, my fiance like wants to do again in May. I'm like, fuck, all right. And then 2, there's a guy on Instagram, kind of like you, Nick, who's been posting every day. He ran 50 marathons this year. He's running his 50th one next week.
In a different state?
In a different state every week or something like that.
He's
just 52 weeks.
Tuxedo at one of them.
Yeah, love it. He almost didn't make it happen because 48th state like 2 weeks ago was Philly, but there was no seats.
Yeah.
He got sponsored. And I was like, dang, And then I looked through his story. I'm like, dude, this guy's been doing a different marathon every week. I'm over here scared to run one. He's been doing one every week.
Yeah. Douglas, I'm even to the point
man.
now where like I might even just rip. My birthday's coming up on the 24th, right? I turned 31,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you know what? If no one's gonna do one, I don't even need to sign up for one. I might just go rip my own marathon. I haven't even really trained. The farthest I ran is like 12.3. Screw it.
You can do it.
Yeah, let's see what I got. So if you want to jump on the bike and like pace with me as I just run this out, you know, you're more than welcome.
I'll do. Hey, if you need someone just to feed you water and some gels,
That's it.
I'm game. I'll show up to that. I mean, part of me would be like, man, I'm a pussy for not trying to do this with you. But again, that's determined based on the pace for sure. I know myself. I know my body, and you know, I'm trying to be thick here. You know, 2 C's thick, and that's like part of like my.
Just get Nick Bear thick though. He's thick but also lean.
You say Nick Bear?
Yeah, he's a,
love that guy. I actually did one little thing with them through some of their new gels, so that was pretty cool too when they sent that over.
That's
awesome.
Yeah,
some BPN stuff.
I did. I got their new Go gels when they just dropped their
what was their
very first one?
Is it the caffeinated one?
No, the very first one, the applesauce one. They dropped that.
Dude, I got a bunch of those, bro.
Those are good. The mango ones, I hate to say it, the mango ones.
I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Yeah, I like the applesauce one because you're like it's like a flavor that you kind of grew up with, and it's like very like, oh, you know how it is.
Yeah, it's
the
real.
mango one just hits weird, and I'm just like, I don't need this flavor when I'm running. I just want like a normal flavor.
I don't know if I got a bad batch. I hate to dog them like that, but the mango ones is just not, I love mango. Anything mango, I am in 100%. But the mango one, it's like too sour. Like it's not good. I hate it.
Preserve it, like the citric acid on it, probably just like what they're using to preserve it, like changes the flavor a bit. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I bet.
Yeah, I've not experienced any gels. I've not done anything that requires that for fueling. For me, it's always been like, you know, highly branched cyclic dextrin after my 15-minute workout, and then doing multiples of those. So Nick, if you want some other chaos, you're more than happy to do this. A wadathon, right? There's a gym in town that's done it. I wonder if they'll bring it back, but they do like 24 hours. Every hour on the hour, they do some sort of CrossFit workout, whether it's like a benchmark or whatever. So that's more my jam, is like do a little burst, take a little break, do a little burst, you know, or Rich Piana, you know, 4-hour arms, whatever it is, you know, every 30 minutes.
Today's workout's going to be 8 hours of arms.
Yeah, just that.
Oh man, that's funny, dude.
Yeah, guys. I mean, this has been fun. I mean, obviously, like in terms of like podcast land and all the stuff that we've been doing, guys. Yeah, I think Nick hit it on the head. Is like, you know, the consistency of it, and you know, for us, this marks like 2 years done, and more to come, and we're excited with like trying to figure out what like the next version of this thing is, because we don't really know. We do know one thing is, we just gotta be consistent, and we know if we don't have like people on that are just like good hangs, that it's just not gonna happen, you know. And Nick, thanks again for like booking this and starting our December off like super bright, man. Like and obviously now I have to get subjected to some training that I want to do, but I know it's gonna hurt me quite bad. So yeah, I mean, again, like what would be some key takeaways though? Because like I think a lot of people, whether it is just like the casual enthusiasts that listen to us, and or for ourselves, like what do we need to do to make that leap? Like what was the thing that you might say like really helped make a leap for you in social media to get to that place where you have, you know, people, you know, either knocking on your door, if you ask them, they're willing to like look at what you've done as your portfolio, so to speak, right? Like your body of work, and want to work with you. Like, how do you get to that level? What does that really take?
I think it just dives back into the consistency thing. You just got to be consistent, build your community. You don't even necessarily have to be a huge, massive following. If you're dialed in and people respond to what you're doing, I think that's the most important thing. Having huge followings is great. It's easier to look and be like, oh, hey, this guy's got a following. Like, even if his engagement or whatever it is might not be as good, it can balance out because there are so many people. But just building that community, diving into a niche that is something that you're really passionate about and you enjoy, makes it easier, helps avoid that burnout. The burnout always comes regardless of whatever it is. But trying to just battle through those times and then find out, just keep going as to why you started this in the first place and just keep powering through, I'd say.
I love it.
That's great. My one question then follow up to that is, now that you're getting into more running, does this branch you out of the niche that you've built thus far?
It does. There's a little bit of a crossover, and I don't know if the people love the crossover, but I do feel like everybody that you cycle and kind of run, I feel like it goes hand in hand. I feel like running has made me a faster cyclist as of yet. I think it's something about just like turning my feet over versus just for longer durations of time has kind of helped me be able to keep a higher spin rate. So I don't know how the community is going to feel if I keep going more running. Definitely have to focus on the cycling and keep going that route, but maybe tying in a little bit more running as well. But you can tell that
who knows? Maybe
they don't love it.
Who knows? Maybe you start a run club in Vegas. I mean, there probably is a ton, but you probably start one of your own little community.
I'd be down with that. I think
I'll show up.
A run podcast would be sweet, or a cycle podcast.
Yes,
a gym podcast. Doing it in that environment, I think, would be pretty fun. Like Rudy's gym would be perfect to do a workout bro sesh podcast as you're going through everything, and he's killing you on legs or whatever it may be.
But, philosophical discussion, like
I sent Marcos and all the guys that we did. So 2 years ago, we did a bro sesh leg day, and Rudy led it, and it's performance health coaches from Synergenics. I'm 170 at this time. I was doing a cut. I was doing like a photo shoot. I'm like 168 at the time, actually. And Marcos, Rudy, Christian, they're all 208 and above, with Rudy probably being the heaviest.
No, Christian is actually only like 198. He looks bigger because his.
Well, at the time he said he was 208. I remember everyone was 200-pound club, and I
don't think Christian's ever weighed 208 though, bro. I'm telling you, I'm gonna call him out right now, bro. Christian, you hear me? You've been doing all the run club shit. I know you ain't over 200 pounds, bro.
Okay, well, we close to 200-pound club, and we get on the pendulum squat. I got folded so fast. They had 245s, and then I was like, Rudy takes off 145. And grant you, we've done already 7 exercises before this. My legs are done. This is like one of the last movements we're just burning out on. And I go, no. Can you put the 25 on? Take off the extra 45 and put the. Marcos is like laughing, but it's true, dude. I like did reps and I was like, there's no way I can keep up with this guy. This is insane. I will say this though, pulling mechanics though, Marcos. You guys, I kept up on reps on the cable deadlift.
We're all long torso, Seamus. It's not. It's biomechanically, we're just not built to pull. We're built to squat.
I am. I'm built to pull. Like my pulling mechanics is like 3 to 4 times more than my push mechanics. I suck at pushing.
Rudy had me doing split squats with 315 on the little like safety H bar thing.
In his draw gym?
Yeah, before practice. I walked into the ring just a mess. Legs were just mangled, and parents were like looking at me like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Dude, don't even ask." Like I was kind with Rudy, like he's like, "You can do 315. Come on, man, single leg." I'm like, obviously, I'm not going to quit on anything. Like I'll die underneath that bar before I quit. So I powered through it, but man, I was mangled on the ice.
I love it. That's that. I
feel like.
Yeah,
Marcos, I feel like there's a story like that. If every person that's worked out with Rudy, there's a story. Like there's a story of someone working out with Rudy. I think they tore their pec or something. Like there's a story of everyone working out with Rudy that's like, it's just not. It's always entertaining.
The Chronicles of the Home Gym, man. Like that would be. I think that's a good premise for sure. Like get people in there and then just like, all right, and then get them to come back like a day later. It's like, how do you feel? You're like, oh my god,
I love it. I think it's great. That home gym though is honestly, it's so sick. I've been trying to go up there like once a week to lift with him. There's nothing better than just working out with like the boys, right? Like getting in there and just slinging weight. It is fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
we'll get one in.
We'll get a session in over at Sin City Iron since it's pretty close to us off of Eastern because we want to test some new places and things too. Just again, like you just said, atmosphere, bro session. I'll have to make a group chat with you and Rudy and see if we can't all find a day where we can make that happen. Just to get some change of pace, you know.
I'll be down. You got to ask Rudy about our last leg day. Just ask him how our last leg day went.
Okay. Do I need to hit him up on our professional teams chat, or do I have to message him
Just
with a
message
text
him
message?
privately. We don't want to put in the professional team chat, but
Oh, okay.
just
Okay.
leg day with Nick at the athletic club, whatever it is, LVAC.
All right.
All right.
Just ask.
I'll hit him up. We'll call you out on the next episode. Then it's like, hey, okay, Nick left us the challenge to go find some dirt and some information on him. So
Perfect.
All right,
awesome, man.
gentlemen.
All right, man. Appreciate you for your time, and yeah, everybody. Hopefully, you guys got some fun of this one. Kind of hearing the story with Nick, kind of bridging from professional hockey life into coaching people into again, really the name of the game that we always talk about, the consistency angle. So, Seamus, any closing words from you?
Hey, you guys heard it right there. The secret is in consistency. There's nothing else to it. You can't build a great VO2 max. You can't build great legs. You can't create legacy without showing up every day, every week, and just making it happen. Maybe in a season you're going harder, but maybe in one season it's a little slower, but you're still doing the thing. And that's what we like to say out here in the macro perspective. So we'll see you guys on the next one. We're out.